right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Sydney Taylor here on Metal from the Inside, and today I'm sitting down with someone who needs no introduction in the world of rock and metal. We all know him, whether it's his work with Dia, Whitesnake, the Dead Daisies. He has been at the forefront of some of the most iconic guitar-driven bands of the past few decades, and we've had the chance to chat before here on Metal from the Inside. But today we are sitting down again, and I am very excited to welcome Doug Aldrich back on the podcast. How are you doing, Doug?
I'm great, Sydney. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. It has been a really long time since we've done an interview, so I'm
But we're
happy to have you
back.
back.
We are
Yes.
back. We are so back.
I'm so stoked. It's great. And I'm really excited because, of course, right now you've done a couple of interviews already for the new Dead Daisies record that is coming out on May 30th, which is really exciting. For those who don't know, it's a blues record titled Lookin For Trouble. And tell us just a little bit of the background of that. I know I've read a little bit about it. I've heard the first single, Boom Boom, which is actually a John Lee Hooker cover. But yeah, just give us a little background onto how that came to be.
So last year, like basically a little over a year ago, we were going to get together because John Corabi had come back to the band a couple of years ago. We were going to get together after a tour and do a little writing, and we wanted a place that was different to visit. So they it's something that I love about the Dead Days is we do everything together. Like when we're writing or when we're, doing whatever we can, obviously rehearsing. So we wanted to go somewhere different to write. And somehow management got us into this studio in Alabama called Fame Studios. And it's a really famous, not because of the name, it's famous because they have a huge background of blues and R&B music and some rock bands and Southern rock. So we went there to write a song or two we decided to make a record, and we were going to write there, and then we were going to go to Nashville and record it. But a place like that's inspirational because it's like got so much history. And during the time we were writing, we started to like a studio like that, Sydney, they would do a tour every day. Like they would have people come in to hear about the studio, and every day we'd be in the middle of recording and we'd be like, oh, they're doing a tour. Okay, let's hold on, guys. And we started to talk about the history of like this part of the country is close to the crossroads where people sold their soul, and people were looking for trouble to get famous, and got in a lot of trouble and whatever. And so we started to talk about, hey, let's everything's set up to write, and kind of in a pre-production recording way, we started to just bounce around some ideas of some of these cover songs, blues cover songs that would be fun to jam on. And then we decided to put our own spin on a lot of that stuff. It just turned out really good. It wasn't meant to be an album recorded at that time, but it just kind of happened. And so we released our rock record last year called Light 'Em Up. And then somewhere along the line, management said, you guys did all these songs. It's really cool. And it's good like it is. You don't have to go back and fix anything. And I was kind of like, really? We're going to leave it as it is? And that's what it is. It was recorded live, basically. Maybe John Corabi fixed a couple spots or whatever, but the majority of it was done in a period of a week.
Wow. You just don't see that anymore a lot of the time of like bands going into a studio and doing stuff live. Like that just with file sharing and all that stuff nowadays, it's like
Yeah.
a lost art. So that's really cool.
I mean, like you're saying, there's obviously more budget-friendly ways to do stuff, but we are lucky to have the means to do something like that. And we don't have an unlimited budget by any means at all, but it was just like these are all great songs. So we wanted to just we started to touch on 3 or 4 of them, and then we decided let's just get 10 together, and maybe we'll come back to it someday.
Yeah. So what was the process of picking those songs? Because, it's, of course, legendary blues artists. You have songs from B.B. King and Muddy Waters that you guys covered. So what was it like kind of sitting down and deciding, okay, we're going to do this one? Because, I mean, there's so many influential songs from that time period, of course.
Yeah. Well, it was just, these are all songs that come to the top of your head that these are very famous songs. I wouldn't say there's anything too deep in terms of like going down a rabbit hole or something. So everybody knows these songs, which is why we wanted to do them differently, because you can hear the original I mean, Crossroads is on there. You can hear the original version of Crossroads that Robert Johnson recorded. And then you can hear the Cream version, which is very famous. We all love it. It's been on the radio a bazillion times. So we wanted to do our own spin. We went in and we were in there with Sarah Tomek on drums, who is an amazing player. She was there to write with us, to basically document our ideas. And then when we started doing this blues stuff, it was like, whoa, Sarah is like throwing down, you know? She's a badass. So she had a groove for Crossroads, and then I grabbed a slide and we just came up with a new thing, a new twist on it, you know. So now we've made it our own. And then one of the ones we went really deep on, Corabi picked, or somebody, Michael Devin, somebody said, let's do Black Betty. And so immediately listening to the Ram Jam version is very cool, but everybody knows that. So we
Right.
totally stripped it down and did like kind of like a Billy Gibbons Texas shuffle thing to it, and it turned out really cool. It's very different, but you know, the original of that song, Black Betty, was basically just a vocal that this guy Leadbelly recorded, a working song, you know, maybe working in the fields or whatever it was, and maybe slavery, you know, and he had this hymn, and that's where Ram Jam took it and made it into their song, and so we took it and made it into ours.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I'm glad that you brought up Sarah because she's the first ever female member of the Dead Daisies, which I had to touch on because I just, as a woman in the industry, I love seeing that. So was she somebody that was brought in, or did you guys find her and ask her to come and jam with you guys?
We asked her. Actually, Marty Fredrickson, our producer, is I don't know if you've ever met Marty, but he's a great guy and he's super talented, amazing songwriter, great producer, and like one of a kind personality, you know, like a real rock star behind the glass. And we didn't have a drummer at the time because we hadn't gotten Tommy yet, and Brian Tishy was doing other things. So he's like, well, we're just writing anyways. Let's get Sarah. He's got a band with her that they do, and I'm spacing on the name, but it doesn't matter because she's played with a lot of people. She plays with Steven Tyler, and she jams with a lot of blues artists. He said, let's get Sarah. She can play anything you guys want when we're writing. But she really and she did an amazing job. But then when we started playing the blues, it was like, she's like, well, what are you guys thinking? Like, do you want like a Chicago blues or a Memphis blues or like a Texas? And we're like, I'm sitting there going, I don't even know what the freaking difference is exactly. But like, she's like, oh, well, this is this one. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, you know. So she just threw down. She was definitely a big part of the glue that made it really fast and fun.
Yeah, that's so awesome. She seems like a really cool person. And what I love about the Dead Daisies too is like you guys have been pretty prolific in the last couple of years, honestly, since you've joined, and I guess over the entire course of the band's history, but since you've been involved since 2016, I mean, you guys have put out an album pretty consistently. But I mean, you guys could probably, how the industry is, tour consistently and still probably do just as well. So with the albums, is it more really just for all of you guys, just a passion thing that you guys continue to write so quickly and put stuff out every couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely something that we love to do. I mean, for me personally, creating that stuff, being in the studio, even if we're not doing, we don't have the, my wife always jokes around and I'll say like, I got this idea. And she's like, could it be on a Bon Jovi record? I'm like, probably not, because it's like, that's the benchmark of like hit bands or whatever. But we love what we do. It's a straight up, honest kind of rock and roll that David Lowy started back when he started the band. And then when he got like Richard Fortus and Marco Mendoza, it turned into a real thing. And then when they got Corabi, that's when I noticed them. But yeah, we just love to create. I love to be in the studio. It's the funnest part. Rehearsals, the second funnest part. Touring, playing live is the third funnest. It's great. But I mean, I love that thing of coming to the same place every day and creating something that like if you and I write a song and it's just us, we got this thing and we're like, can't wait for everyone to hear it. So even if you know, it's just straight up simple rock and roll, it's something new and we can tour off that. And as you know, you need product to like talk about, to promote a tour and to like, it all works together.
Yeah. And it's been nice, I'm sure, for you guys, maybe a little sense of familiarity. John's been back in the band now for a little bit, but he was gone there for a while when Glenn Hughes came in on vocals. But what has it been like to have him back in the fold, kind of after some time away from working with each other?
Oh, serious pain in the ass, but you got to take the good with the bad. I'm just joking.
I was like, oh man.
Did you think I was serious?
I did it there for a second, but you had like a delayed reaction. I was like, maybe he's serious.
No, John is just an original. John's, I feel like I've been so blessed with the singers I've worked with, and John he's right there, man. He's like got this original sounding voice that nobody has. And he's kind of like, I don't want to jinx it, but he's kind of bulletproof on the road. He just can sing through anything. And he's hilarious. And he's a really great guitar player, songwriter. Obviously, he's a singer. And I love working with him. I've known him since, you're from Philadelphia. I grew up in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He's from Philly. And I met him when I was in 10th grade, like around 79 or something like that. He was a rock star, he was like the rock star singer. And at that time, now Philly's got a different thing, but at the time in New Jersey, you could be 19 and go to a club and drink and play. In Philadelphia, there wasn't really anything happening for kids. So we all got fake IDs and we started to head over to Jersey on the weekends well, I was too young, but I would go and watch. But John played over there, and we never worked together for all of these years until 2016. And we got together and started writing, and there's definitely a chemistry, that we got going with John. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was awesome with Glenn. We had a blast with Glenn. Glenn's amazing. But when it was time to do, it was like the 10th anniversary of the band. We wanted to do like a celebration of the band that David Lowy started, and Glenn wanted to go he had some Deep Purple dates, and we called John and said, you want to come back? He was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome having him back. And it seems like you guys really do have a great chemistry together. And, it's evident on everything that you guys have put out. But I'm really glad that you mentioned that you've had the chance to work with, a wide array of singers that are some of the most legendary singers out there. And we've talked about it before, but, between Dio, David Coverdale, Glenn Hughes, which we just mentioned. Something that I was thinking though, on top of, talking about the singers you've worked with and just in general, is there anybody in the hard rock, heavy metal world that you haven't had the chance to work with or collaborate with that you would really love to someday?
I mean, there's a couple of people that I love what they do. One guy, I love Opeth. Opeth is kind of like, Michael's been a friend for years and years. He came to a gig in Sweden one time with Whitesnake, and he's just a super talented guy. He's got he's busy, but he's a very creative guy, and I love what he does. It's like it's like his own thing. And I don't know, man. There's so many. What would you think? What would be a good singer, a good fit for me to jam with one day?
Oh
What do you
man, I
think?
don't know. I like you've hit the nail on the head with some of the best ones so far, so it's
I
kind of hard
know.
to top.
I
But
mean, there's a bunch of people. I mean, as far as like not metal, but I love his voice. Is Chris Robinson,
oh yeah.
and speaking of that, there's a lot of new bands that I want to give a shout out to. The band Feel, I love them. There's a young band called Return to Dust. So like I'm more focused on doing what I can do to help these guys, because they're really good what they're doing. And then there's a whole bunch of guitar players that are out there, but I don't know. I think I've maxed out my good luck on singers. Like I've worked. My first singer, really, that one of my first singers I worked with is a guy called Cal Swan, who was in Lion with me, and he was amazing. He's the one that got me gave me the head start for Whitesnake, and then right after him, I worked with Kelly Hansen for a while, and Kelly and we had a funny relationship. It was a little bit of a rub, but I love Kelly, and he's such a talented singer. Then, Dio and all that stuff started happening, and definitely jamming with Glenn was super fun. And Corabi is his own thing. Corabi is, I think he's going to be remembered when he retires one day. Who knows when that is, but he's going to be remembered as one of the greats too, because he's badass.
Oh, he's great. And it's funny because so I do some freelance writing for Loudwire now, but we just put out an
Nice.
article that was like five of the best grunge albums from like hair metal bands, right? And one that always comes back, it doesn't matter what era of Motley Crue people love, they always say that that album that he was on is one of their favorites because it's phenomenal. But like, I wish also a lot of the time people looked past just that one album. It's great, but like John has done so much, even
Well,
stuff at the Dead Daisies.
the scream is when John really, I mean, he had a band called Angora that was a bunch of dudes from Philly that we all we all moved across the country when we were kids, and the LA scene started happening, and me and Cal Swan had this band Lion. It was not a Sunset Strip sound, so it took us a long time to get a deal, and then it was not the greatest deal, but our sound was more European. John came in with this kind of really cool Aerosmithy kind of thing with Angora, but they didn't get a proper deal. But then John got a deal with the Scream, and it was like, whoa, that's cool stuff that he was doing. And he wrote it, and it was a great band. But yeah, I forget what the original thing sorry,
Oh
forget what
no,
we were talking.
honestly, I forgot to. We got so into conversation. I think we were talking about that's what we were talking
Oh,
about,
I know.
collaborating with people, but
No, no, no. I know what we were talking about. You said the grunge album
yes.
of those, and that is interesting because I remember when he got the gig, and he was just like the crab with Motley Crue. We were very proud of him.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, Sydney. I've actually, and I swear to God, I've never listened to that album. I only
Really?
know. I don't know. I never listened to it. It's like one of those things where you say, I've never seen this movie. And I'm like, what? How could you not see that movie? Whatever. But I just know Hooligans, Holiday. That's the one I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great record. And I mean, he deserves all the props for that. But yeah, I remember hearing about the Scream and even stuff he's done solo. Like he's a phenomenal singer and deserves more praise, I think.
He sounds great on this Looking for Trouble album for people who get a chance. There's a couple songs streaming. There's Crossroads and Boom Boom. And Boom Boom is just basically like we were talking about, like, let's do a really we kind of made it sound like a little bit almost like a John Fogerty type of thing, or Susie Q or type of vibe, but like we were thinking like, 60s Vietnam War. And John just throws down on the whole album. He's just really, his voice is geared towards that.
Yeah. I'm really excited to hear the whole thing. And yeah, that comes out again on May 30th. But I'm glad that you brought up Lion because I feel like it's a hidden gem of that era. And I think a lot of people associate you with, of course, Dio and Whitesnake and all that stuff. But like Lion was kind of the beginning for you in terms of kind of making a name for yourself. And you did mention just then that it kind of was a more UK based sound, not as much Sunset Strip like. So for
Yeah.
you, when you guys were kind of, if we can go back there a little bit, kind of writing and getting that band together. I mean, were you as a guitar player kind of pressured at the time with like the guitar hero culture thing that was going on? Because everybody wanted to be like Eddie Van Halen, everybody wanted to kind of be a shredder more or less, and kind of coming with more of a UK based, new wave of British heavy metal, for lack of a better term, kind of sound. What was it like for you kind of finding your way as a guitar player at that time?
Well, I definitely was influenced by British guitar players like Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, those guys, but also, through the years, and Irishman Gary Moore was massive to me. But then the American guys, Eddie and Randy, were huge. I saw Randy Rhoads at the Tower Theater.
Did
Did
you
you ever
really?
did you ever go to the Tower Theater?
I have been to the Tower Theater many, many times. That's incredible.
So the day of the show, Ozzy's song was on the radio. I don't know it was on the radio. And I went with my buddy down there probably an hour before showtime. Motorhead was opening.
Wow.
And we got tickets. We went to the box office, got tickets, got fourth row. Like maybe they were holding tickets back or something. And Motorhead came out and they were freaking loud. It was kind of like we were right at the age of like, I think I was 15, 16 maybe. And I was at the age like, if, let's go to every concert we can, but if we're not feeling it, let's go get a beer. There was a place we could sneak and get some beers. And we were talking about that. But then Ozzy came out and I was just like, oh my God, it just blew me away. Randy. And I had been there to see Pat Travers, thinking I was going to see Tommy Aldridge, and Tommy wasn't there. There he was with Ozzy, and then there was Rudy. And the whole thing just smoked my ass so bad that I couldn't even believe it. I never thought anybody would blow me away like Van Halen had. And so I had that background coming to LA. I got to LA and I found a band out of the paper and we started playing the clubs and stuff. And that stuff was a little more Americano. But Cal Swan came and Mark Edwards from Steeler and they recruited me for Lion. And Cal was definitely into like heavily into Thin Lizzy stuff that I didn't know. Some of the Thin Lizzy stuff I didn't know about. And then White Snake was really big for him, the early White Snake, which wasn't released in the US. And blah, blah, blah. We got passed on by so many labels. We did showcases for these labels. And it was like, no, you guys you either need to go like super heavy or go more of the glam rock thing. And we were just stuck. We thought we had a good record, and I still think we did, and we got some good response from it from certain areas, but we did not get a great deal, so we ended up breaking up.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really great record. And it's funny enough, when I was working for WMMR in Philly, they have a vinyl library, but the producer I was working with at the time was like, you could go in there. They had like a shelf that they were like, you could take whatever you want. And as a
Really?
vinyl collector, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna take whatever I want. And I went in there and they had Lion, that
Oh
first
wow.
album, and I took it because I was like, it's so good, and I never hear enough about it. But yeah, I think it's tricky around that time, everyone was trying, I feel like more or less to, everyone is influencing each other, and when you kind of have something that's out of left field, albeit very good, I feel like it was just a tough scene in general, right?
Yeah, I mean the bands that got big was first, Quiet Riot and Motley and Rat, and then I forget if it was Wasp or somebody, but so it was like you could see these bands like that were doing good on the strip. Little by little, they just went point. They were
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
They made it was like they were doing a big album deal. They did a big album deal with a major label, and then I didn't really spend too much time on the scene after I joined Lion. I had a girlfriend, I guess, and so I didn't really go down there that much anymore. But like bands like Warrant, who used to support us, Poison, and then all these other bands like Tough, and all these bands got, and then Faster Pussycat, L.A. Guns, and Guns N' Roses. That was kind of like the last. I think those were the last great bands, that got signed and got out of there. And
Yeah.
we are known Lion. So for people who don't really know about Lion, it's just we were like a kind of a White Snake-ish thing, kind of, and blues based. But our biggest song was a theme song from Transformers movie back in '86. Well, I'm so impressed that you know about this shit because like you weren't even like your parents probably weren't even married yet. Who knows when they?
No, my parents, what year? 86? My dad just graduated high school the year before.
There
So
you go.
No, they were not together yet, but yeah, I've spent a long time studying this stuff. I love it.
It's impressive. And that you said the new wave of British heavy metal, I'm like, okay, she just threw down right there. That's some deep knowledge.
I
That's
love
all the
it.
bands for those people. That's all the bands that came from Britain. And Cal was one of those bands. He was in a band called Titan, and Titan was one of those bands. Angel Witch, Girl School, all these bands that were coming from the UK trying to whatever. But yeah, back to the Dead Daisies. We're super psyched, and we have dates coming up. Everybody can go check on the website. You know, the Dead Daisies for all of our current plans and whatnot. And hopefully, we're going to be getting some more dates for the U.S. later this year, or maybe early next year, or something like that.
Perfect. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope I get to catch you guys again with my schedule kind of on the road. Sometimes it's hard to plan, but if it works out, I'd love to come out and see you guys. And one last thing before I let you go, how are you feeling? Because I didn't want to touch on it too early, but you kind of had some health scares and stuff over the last year or so. But you
Yeah.
seem to be in good spirits and you seem to be doing well. But just in general, how has it been for you?
I'm really lucky, super blessed. Thanks to God for, sorting me out, getting me through it. Cause it was a really basically it was like, a little less than a year ago, I was shaving and I saw this bump on my neck and I was like, what is that? It didn't hurt at all. It looked like it kind of looked like and felt like if you had strep throat or something, but I didn't have any pain. Then we went on the road and I read about it and it said, give a couple weeks because it could be a virus and it'll probably go away. And if it doesn't, then just go to the doctor and blah, blah, blah. And so I just didn't think much of it. And then when I got back, it took a little while to get a doctor's appointment, as it is these days. So it was another 3 weeks. So it was like 2 months from the time I discovered it that I finally went and they started having me do all these tests and stuff. And they came back and said, the guy called me, the doctor, my GP doctor called me, goes, it's cancer, and he couldn't tell me what stage it was or whatever. I'm just like, I mean, for all I knew, I had a limited amount of time, I was really worried about it because I got little kids and big kids and
Yeah.
I just have responsibility. I can't be checking out yet. You know what I mean? I've had an amazing life, but I need to be there for the kids now. And then they did basically identify it was on my tonsil, the cancer, and it's a STD. It's it was HPV 16 that a lot of people get exposed, but nothing happens. Of course, girls go to the doctor periodically to get checked, but boys don't. And I want to recommend that boys go to the dentist because that's where they would see that HPV show up on your mouth, inside your mouth. So you go to the dentist, the first thing they do, they look at your mouth oh, everything's cool. Okay. Oh, you got a cavity, whatever, fix it, done. If they had seen it on my throat, if I had gone to the dentist, then I could have avoided the bump. Because what happens is it goes from there, it metastasizes, industry term, and it goes into your lymph node, and then your lymph node pumps up. And then if you don't take care of it, it goes from there and spreads. Fortunately, mine was pretty big. It was like 4 centimeters. I got my tonsil removed, and then they cut it out and cut out all the lymph nodes, like 30 lymph nodes. And then I had to do radiation. So the whole thing was wrapped up in December, and it was a pain in the ass. And it was once I knew that, that it was treatable and everything, that's when I said, hey, I got this thing. I'm going to be having to I got Reb Beach, who Reb. He came and filled in on some dates. And it was, the surgery part was easy it hurt, and stuff, but it wasn't but radiation was a pain in the ass. That was really a bummer to be just tired all the time and losing weight. And my neck was it was just blood. I'd turn my neck and it would just start bleeding, And then a couple weeks after December, when I was done, it was healing up good, and I started feeling good, and little by little, I've been going. I'm back in the gym trying to get my. I lost probably like 25 pounds, and it was good. I lost a lot of weight here, but I also
Right.
lost weight here. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
build back. I'm trying to do the build back better thing. And I'm doing great. So I'm really lucky, and thanks for asking, and thanks to everybody that sent me, including you, that sent me nice messages and stuff because it really it in that situation when people would go, it's just a bump in the road. You're going to be fine in a little time, but you don't really see past that stuff.
Right.
And then you get these notes, and people are like, "Man, we love you. Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Just kick ass, and you got this, and all this stuff. God bless you." And it really, like, little by little, it starts to help you a lot. And so I just hung on to that stuff. And then, like, now I look at it and it was just a bump in the road. It kind of fucked up my whole year last year mentally, but I feel great.
It's, I remember when that news broke, just the outpouring of love because you are such a beloved, facet of this industry, not only as a guitar player, but a person and a friend. And it's pretty obvious that everyone, you work with, you're very well respected. And so I think everyone was really happy to hear that, you were okay and that you know, that yeah, you're doing well. So I'm happy to hear it too, because you're the
Yeah.
best and I'm glad that everything's okay and you're feeling good and you're getting
Yeah.
back to doing what you love.
Yeah. Basically, after that stuff, you have to get your blood work done, and my blood work came back perfect. And
Great.
then you have to get like a scan, a whole body scan to make sure that it didn't spread. And that came back pretty much perfect. I just said it showed scar tissue and some stuff like that. It's just that's part of it. But other than that, I'm 100%. I actually feel better than 100%. I feel so good, and that's why, like, I'm just really excited about this album and just getting on the road and having some fun, seeing friends. We got some great friends all over the world that wherever we go, they show up for us. So I'm very excited about that.
Perfect. I'm so glad to hear it. And again, everybody, please make sure that you check out the new Dead Daisies record, Lookin For Trouble. It is out on May 30th, and you guys can get it, of course, wherever you purchase your music. And also be sure to head over to the Dead Daisies website, their social media, stay up to date on tour dates and all that stuff. But thank you so much, Doug, for taking the time. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And next time, we should make sure not too much time goes between chats.
Hey, anytime if there's something comes up or anything, you always we love you, and we're as the band we talk about how like we're proud of you because coming from Philly too is like another feather in your cap. That's like, I mean, I've known you since you were little, and I'm just really happy you're kicking ass, and I love this podcast that you're doing. So people, please make sure you support Sydney because she is one of the greats.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you again, everybody, for
All right.
listening. It is so appreciated. And we will see you on the next episode of Metal from the Inside. Thank you so much, Doug. Appreciate it.
Thank, thank you.